All right, I'm calling the meeting to order Tuesday, March 7th, about 9 o'clock. Say good morning to everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day. We will go into executive session at the end of the regular court meeting per KRS 61.8101B, deliberations on the future acquisition or sale of real property by a public agency. But only when publicly would be likely to affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency. And we'll do that at the end of the meeting, and we will have action when we come back out probably. Who's going to do the Pledge of Allegiance? This group is with the Montessori, right? Yep, and stand right over here, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance first.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Red, white, and blue, I love you.
Now, do y'all want to lead us in prayer also? You want to do that, ma'am?
Our gracious Heavenly Father, King David declared in Psalms, Lord, O Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory in the heavens through the praises of children and infants. You have established a stronghold against your enemies to silence the foe and avengers. How wonderful it is that the glory of the Lord is not only revealed in the heavens, but also on earth, as God's power can even be seen in children, as his strength is shown in them. Thank you, Father, for St. Joseph Montessori Children's Center and for choosing what seems weak to be the world's, to appoint strength out of the mouth of children. Bless our children, our staff, and our school. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
You want to introduce yourself? I'll just say this is the Montessori, St. Joseph Montessori Children's Center. Is that what we call it?
Yes.
Okay. You want to introduce yourself, all of y'all, real quick?
My name's Rachel Razor, and I'm the director of Montessori. Can you tell them what your name is? He's a kindergarten student. What's your name? Everly, and she's preschool.
June.
And she's preschool.
And who's behind you?
I'm Barbara Harvey, the teacher at Montessori Children's Center.
I'm Bethany Shane, I'm a parent.
I'm Emma Robinson, I'm a parent.
I'm Brittany Newcomb, I'm a parent.
We're glad to have y'all here. And somewhere I lost my resolution. Yeah.
Here.
So today, we're going to do a proclamation for the Montessori. So I'm going to read this. Whereas St. Joseph Montessori Children's Center, formerly Nazareth Montessori Children's Center, had dedicated itself to enriching the minds of young children, nurtured their spiritual development in an environment that promotes respect, self-reliance, the free discovery of the wonders of the world, and care of their surroundings and others. Whereas St. Joseph Montessori Children's Center was established on August 27, 1973 on the serene campus of Nazareth, Kentucky. Whereas St. Joseph Montessori Children's Center would be celebrating its 50th year. Whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and now therefore I, Tim Hutchins, Nelson County Judge Executive, do hereby proclaim March 15th, 2023 to be St. Joseph Montessori Children's Center Day in Nelson County, and ask our citizens to recognize the dedication of the students, parents, teachers, and the staff in the past 50 years. So I'm going to sign that, and then so the 15th will be the, and I think the city of Barstow is going to do the same thing next week, and that way y'all have from both City of Bardstown and Nelson County. And I don't need a motion on that, that's just a proclamation. So, do y'all want to, now you got, we do our community showcase, do you want to get up and talk about it just for 3 or 4 minutes and say what y'all do, and so we can make you embarrassed and all that?
Hi, I'm Emma Robinson. Again, I'm June's mother of the Montessori student. And the Montessori education is a lot different. It's very much child-driven. Every child is on their own level. So even though they may be in the same grade, they're working on different stuff at their own level. And we find that this helps foster independence, creativity, and confidence in themselves. And through this, we work with the nature around us, and we really work with the community around us. We work hand in hand with the Nelson County Public Library almost on a weekly basis. We have filled some of the boxes, the food boxes around town, and we work hand in hand with some of the high schools around us, specifically Bethlehem. We have students come in to help learn just childcare and other ways that they can succeed past high school. So we do have an open house tonight, 5:30 to 7. If you want to know what Montessori can look like for your child or someone that you know, please join us. Come look, see what our school has to offer for you in the community. So, thank you.
Thank you, children, for being here. Y'all did a great job on the pledge. All right, we'll go into the approval of the minutes, February 21st meeting. Everybody had a chance to review those.
I didn't notice anything wrong. I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Keith, second by Adam. Any more discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. The bills and transfers approval, Rhonda did all that. Anybody got any questions for Rhonda on that? We slip any extra bills in there on you? To be quite honest, I haven't reviewed it too close. I've been working on some other stuff.
Been a busy couple days, actually.
Yeah.
The upcoming budget amendment, we only had close on that.
I'm still waiting for a couple things before we
Okay.
do it. Probably maybe the next meeting, maybe not until April.
Okay. Check didn't clear?
I haven't received a check. We're waiting for a check, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So made.
Motion by John, second by MT. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Ron, do you have anything you want to talk about on the treasurer's report?
I don't have anything today unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions? We'll move on to planning and zoning report. Jan, you want to go right into that? I just told them about these zonings briefly. I didn't give them copies, so you just want to
Right, we have
discuss
one-
that for a second and then
one
go on.
county rezoning that we transmitted over to you all on Douglas Springs, that's in your district. They're wanting to rezone from A1 to R1A for 10 house lots. It was a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission. So you all have 21 days from the date of the Planning Commission recommendation if you want to take final action, or if somebody wants to file, an aggrieved person can file a notice to have you all take final action. Other than that, 21 days will run and it'll be final. On appointments, we do have 2 remaining, or actually 3 remaining now. One of the appointees has decided not to serve on the Nelson County Board of Adjustment, so we'll need to have that individual replaced. And then Dick Greenwell from Keith's district will need to be appointed at the next meeting. So we'll need to have that on the agenda. We still have a Development Review Board member from the county that will need to be appointed. The Development Review Board is Commercial Design Review. That board really only meets now if there's an issue beyond administrative level approval. So we just need that person on there in case we have to call a full board meeting for the Development Review Board. So that will be a county appointment to fill an unexpired term.
Yeah, and I interrupted you there for a second. We have one new commissioner on the Board of Adjustments, so can you get Mr. Whalen to step up another month or so to help us on that?
I can, yeah, because the planning commissioner under state law, a planning commissioner, you can have up to 2 planning commissioners on each board of adjustments. And that's really good crossover, especially in times like this. So I'll ask David if he'll serve another month.
And then do we have to approve the next gentleman that we didn't approve?
Dick
last
Greenwell,
time?
he'll need to be appointed at the next meeting.
At the next meeting, okay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Other than that, I don't have anything really to report.
Okay. Office space, we're still, well, that's still an ongoing issue, so we're working on it, we don't come up with it yet. Anything, anybody, any questions further on any of this other business? That's usually that discussion. Then we'll go into the, let me back up a little bit. I'm going to introduce Brad Metcalf here. Brad, you want to stand? We've got him under contract actually, and we'll see if he becomes an employee eventually. He worked in Frankfurt for many years and got a lot of interaction with the elected officials and a lot of contacts to a lot of different departments. And he's going to help us. If you see this, anybody wants to look at it later, this is a full lot of stuff that Brett Guthrie sent down. We've got a lot of projects that we can try to go after, because it's kind of short notice again. We don't have a lot of things for us ready to go. Grants, and we get some federal and state money for that. So Brad's going to be helping us do that with Jan. Kind of change the course just a little bit, but they're going to work together on trying to get the grants. And then it'll pay for his position tenfold, I think, time we get it all done. So there's a lot of opportunities. And you've heard me say this before, New Haven, Bloomfield, Fairfield, Austin, all these communities out there, there's a lot of projects that we can help do that they don't have the resources or the time. In the city of Bardstown, there's a lot of projects in there, and they'll keep coming down the line, and we don't want to miss out the opportunities. He'll be working with me on a lot of projects, actually, because we've got a lot on the plate, and he'll support Brad and John and everybody else, and Jan. I'll give y'all his links and contacts that we'll have a direct link with him. So y'all want to talk about that, Brad or Jan, on the next number 12 grants or anything you want to talk about there?
Just, we've got a short window to turn these around. It's by next Friday. So we have to get some preliminary stuff into them, at least some boilerplate language that we can submit as fast as we can. So we may be asking for some resolutions to support these. We'll finalize that and submit that to you before we do anything, just so that you all can see what we're going to ask for and make sure that you're okay with that. But there will be many more that we're going to go after. This is just the first round of funding from the House appropriation that they just passed last year. So we'll have other pots we'll go for later, but this will be a very quick turnaround on this 4, 5, 6 that we're going to have. So
Now this deadline, this one is about, what date is it?
the 14th, which is next
We
week.
won't meet till after that, so I'm going to ask the court to allow me to resolution to sign these documents. And if we're not spending any money, if we do get a grant and it's 10 million, we got to come up 2 million, all we do is say no, but we don't have the money. But this gives me the authority, the fiscal court gives them the authority to move forward. Anybody got a problem with that? Because we won't meet until after that. And the deadline is before, unless we call a special meeting. Any suggestions on that?
I don't have any problem with
What's the grant for?
Well, we got sidewalks, we got water, we got streets, we got, just go ahead and tell them all in there. Internet, there's all kinds
We've
of.
got internet, water, there are some sheriff's department grants, rail, highway, I think that's the big six, so.
Is your old number still the same number?
Yeah.
Keith, there's a packet here.
I've got his number.
Did I give you this packet yet?
No.
That's everything that's in the possible grant. I'll get y'all can make copies or look at it. There's just a lot of stuff in there.
So you're basically just asking us for the authority to allow him to move forward, and then if, in the future, if money needs to be spent, that's something we would have to address at the time, correct?
Well, one of the things that we have to submit in the packet is a resolution from you guys, at least supporting our effort to try to get the grant. So that's something that has to be in the packet by the 14th. So
Got it.
we would circulate that among you, get your approval first, and then just try to move forward, at least that. And if we needed you to come back at a later time and retroactively approve a resolution, that's all it is. It's not an actual commitment of any kind of money from
No.
I'll make a motion that we allow the judge to sign any and all documents that are required for the grant applications.
I'll second that.
Motion by Lear, second by Adam. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you, Brad. Jan, got anything else?
Nope.
Short-winded today.
Good.
You got an extra one? I better run back there.
Okay.
I'm good now. Brad, you want to talk about the recreation, anything in that department?
Just baseball evaluations are this weekend, so you'll start seeing baseball practice out there very soon. Same thing with soccer. I think soccer elite, John, you probably know, that's more like, more competitive. You know, they'll start rec a little later, but elite starts quicker. They actually start this weekend. John's gonna help shoot the corners of the fields in. They're using landfill stuff to where we can, every year, it's very hard to put those fields back. It's a lot of time consuming. But if he shoots in with GPS, then it'll be a lot quicker moving forward from now on. So John's gonna help us out with that.
You got one that talks to you? That's
Just
the
look,
neatest,
it shows you walk this way, that
that's the neatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
And then if you guys go out there, well, actually, we started putting in the gate out front. If you remember, we've had this gate forever, and we're just now getting around the Bear Creek, set the post for us, and we're just letting concrete cure. And then, so we're gonna start this summer. We'll start locking the park down at dark. I mean, there's, Raymond probably attests to it. There's stuff that goes on out there that shouldn't be going on out there. So that's the whole.
We never did get the gate on the front side.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Okay. But the back gate, are they locking it at night?
We're not yet.
But you're gonna
Probably
do it?
will when we get this one up and going.
Okay.
There's no use locking the back one if they come in the front way, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for recreation department.
Justin Hall, jailer's report.
You want me to do my road?
No, wait a minute. No, I don't yet. I'm gonna skip it.
Okay.
Justin.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right, let me go on to the statistics first, or you'll just go, through the contract? Okay. All right, so currently, right now, at our correctional facility, we have 111 inmates, 42 of those are state, 69 are county. State revenue per day is $1,484.28.
Say that again.
$1,484.28 per day, state inmate revenue. District court's 15 inmates. Circuit court is 46 inmates. Facility is over capacity by 8.82%. We had some releases by the state here this past week and stuff, so our male overcapacity is actually -1%. It's the first time I've seen that in a little bit. Our female overcapacity is 125% right now, and our recidivism rate of everybody incarcerated is at 86.79%. So that's out of the 111, 86%.
How many females do you have down there, Justin?
I have 18.
And what's your limit?
8.
Okay. Can you get more males in there and get us up to about 130 with some more state revenue?
Well, we are waiting right now on 11 inmates to get classified by the state actually for the work program, but we have right now 46 inmates that we're waiting on circuit court. And once they actually get sentenced and stuff, then they turn into paying customers if they're found guilty or take a plea at that point. So, but yeah, we actually probably could take some other state prisoners from another jail that I've talked to. We could actually probably add some into that. I could probably make a couple calls and add some paying customers into ours and some of the other ones that are forward.
The more crowded, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, so it makes the next item that we're gonna talk about even cheaper too, which is the food contract.
What's the capacity?
102 beds.
102 beds?
102 beds is what our capacity is. It's had, before COVID, it averaged about 130 to 150 inmates. After COVID, the last 12 months, we've averaged 116. I don't know when the trend, like at Hardin and LaRue, is going to catch up to us yet. I'm surprised it hasn't yet, but we haven't got back to what I consider the normal before COVID type stuff, which is, I mean, I'm not complaining, but, that's, I've just been kind of waiting for a boom to happen. It hadn't happened yet. So.
That may be a credit to our long term.
What's that?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, So the next thing, on our last meeting, we talked about the one food service contract that we had, and there was two items for concern. One was the food cost increase, and number two was we didn't have the fiscal contract. So I got the fiscal contract, I sent to the county attorney. They didn't see anything out of the ordinary in it. One thing I will mention, it has a 60-day out clause. I provided you all a copy of the contract in your all's packet. It has a 60-day out clause. It is a 4-year contract. Food costs will not increase for the first year, and if it does have to increase, it'll only increase based on the CPI, Consumer Price Index. It will only go up that percentage amount. From what I've talked to a couple other jailers, they said, especially Hardin County, they've only had, I believe, one increase the last 10 years that they've been with them. So, they've actually been pretty happy with it. So, right now, depending on what model that you use for, if you take the cost of the kitchen, cost per tray, with the deputy salaries included, the contract based on our 116 average, you're looking at $72,440 in savings. If you factor in the employees that'll still be staying and doing other jobs, you're looking at a saving of $15,242. So I'm asking the court.
Back up on that a minute, savings, but you're gonna use the full-timers.
Yeah, in other parts of the
You're
jail.
not gonna be using as many part-timers, and that's
Right.
gonna save overtime.
Yes.
A lot of overtime.
Yeah, so it's technically, we're gonna have, where we subcontract out the commissary, there's a full-time person in it. We subcontract out the kitchen, there was a full-time person in it. They're gonna be doing actual deputy stuff on the floor. So we're not gonna have to have part-time, we'll be able to cover other people's days off and overtime. So I do foresee a reduction in overtime.
Two things that when I read through the contract, inmate labor, do you get paid for that inmate labor from them?
We get paid from the state. We get paid from the state as far as our daily housing.
Okay.
But basically, as part of any of the kitchen contracts, we provide the inmates in the kitchen for them to work for free. Mhm.
And then the other part of it was,
And the inmates get paid their 63 cents that they get allotted by the state, of course, but
and then the other part was on invoices, they mentioned that they're gonna invoice for meals ordered or served, whichever one's greater. So how does that work as far as ordering and serving? Is that their discretion or is that your discretion?
that'll go off the sheet that we turn in. We basically will turn in a order sheet to them.
Right.
And sometimes, like, okay, on a rare occasion, let's say they bring in somebody that's homeless or whatever, kitchen's still operating, and they may have not eaten like 2 or 3 days. And if it looks like they're feeble or something like that, we'll go ahead and have the kitchen make them up something to eat, just based on a judgment call on how they're acting and stuff.
So that can't vary too far away?
No, you're talking about 1 or 2.
Just trying to.
Yeah, 1 or 2-ish, yeah. I mean, 1 or 2-ish.
Well, the inmates you got going out every day, of course, they're gonna miss dinner, right?
We give them a sack lunch that they go out with. And Brad, that's been going pretty good, what you say, so far?
So far, so good.
Mhm.
What about our fellow that had the episode?
That's the reason I said so far.
Yeah, so far. He is better, doing well, and we are going to be working him inside of the facility just for better monitoring of his healthcare needs. But he is doing fine.
Justin, 60-day out clause mentioned something about reimbursement of cost. Is there any significant cost for them to start this contract?
No, the only cost that they would have would be whatever cleaning supplies that they have on site and whatever food that they may have already purchased that's in the freezer. You know, so I think that would be the two other costs that would be on it.
So are they gonna use our stove and facility?
Yeah, they use our stove, we have to supply all the kitchen stuff, but what they do is they actually have a licensed dietitian that actually signs off on all the meals. They provide the employee to actually order the food, supervise the preparation of the food, and basically it takes it, you know, when we come jail inspection time, they provide all the documentation. They even keep each meal that's served or whatever, they even keep about 3 days worth of meals or whatever in case there's food poisoning or something like that, or if it needs to get tested or something. I mean, they even go that far into doing that.
As far as equipment, are we still responsible for all equipment?
All equipment, yes. We're still responsible. Like if the stove breaks down, we still have to fix it and stuff like that. Which as far as kitchen equipment, I mean, we have a dishwasher and, I always forget the name of it, the thing on the right. Anyway, it's one of them flat tilt skillet, that's what I'm looking for. We have one of them and a gas stove, and that's in our dishwasher, so that's really the only equipment that we have in there.
Coolers.
In our freezers too. We have one outdoor freezer and 2 fridges. And an ice machine.
When you called me when that freezer went out a couple weeks ago, or a month or so.
Yeah.
Did we end up losing very much?
No, we didn't lose no food.
Okay.
Did
Jerry help you out?
Yeah, Boone's helped us out. We were able to shoot it over to him real quick and get it stored, so we saved and it was fairly full, so we actually saved a lot of money from getting ruined, and luckily we caught it when we did, because that would have been a pretty big loss in some food.
I make a motion we approve the KOL food services contract.
Second.
Motion by Jeff, and second by John. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Got anything else on your jail report?
Yeah, the body scanner, the bid came in on it, it's in your all packet as well. Came in at $214,230.25, which is about $20,000 higher than what they were running pre-inflation and whatnot. So we are going to get it. I spoke to the company. They are going to hold the bids good for a minimum of 90 days, they told me. So this Homeland Security grant's getting ready to open up, so I'm going to try to get some monies to offset some of the costs, you know, that we can. And then whatever the difference is or whatever, then we'll be purchasing it out of a commissary account to get that scanner. Also, M&H Cabinets is going to be donating a whole new booking counter to the jail. So kudos to them for helping us out. So that's one expense we're not going to, because we have to redesign, we had to basically redesign the booking area to make that body scanner fit in there. So he came down, CAD drawed the whole thing, and when I asked him for a quote, he said, I'm giving it to y'all. So I mean, I thought that, I was kind of taken away by it. I mean, I thought that was great.
Yeah, I ate supper with him last night and thanked him myself.
Yeah, so that was super nice of him. And the last thing, and then I'll be done, is on our work program, just to give everybody some numbers, on the bulky item pickup. Currently, right now, the 4 inmates that we got out, I went and I asked Chris at Road Department, the part-time or seasonal people that we would have to pay, they normally pay them $20 an hour. So the 4 inmates that we're sending out right now, that's $3,200 a week that we're saving right now from having to pay somebody to actually do it. So that's $640 per day. Even though bulky item goes on past March 27th, if you just go the 21 days between February 27th and March 27th, you're looking at $13,440 saved the first month. The total cost For us, for that whole month, is $52.92. And if we run a crew of 4 inmates all throughout the year, each crew of 4 inmates is $161,280 saved if you was basing it off a $20 an hour wage.
No, but we didn't start those out at $20 an hour when we hired the part-timers. What was that? $14 an hour?
I don't remember, Keith.
Yeah.
18,
Is that what it is? Okay.
No, when we hired part-timers for Buckyard, we almost said it was only $14, $15. You just used $20 right there.
Yeah, I asked what they would have hired them at, and they,
it was 18. I know the one we hired last year was 18. We bumped him up to 20.
Still gonna be a good savings. for us.
Absolutely.
and that's all I
Good
can do.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Going back to the road department, you're gonna go back to the electric.
I think I'm gonna leave him off today.
Scratch him.
I'm gonna go to EMS, Joey Pruitt.
Okay, as you can imagine, the past few days over the weekend have been very busy for emergency services as a whole. Start with the EM report. We had a countywide property damage reported winds greater than 60 miles an hour Friday evening. I have in your package, you have a National Weather Service wind report for that map. Shows that we topped out over 60 miles an hour for our area. Due to all the damage, I want to thank Judge Hutchins and Mayor Heaton for burning the midnight oil Friday night to get a verbal declaration filed with the state for a state of emergency for Nelson County and the city of Bardstown. We followed that up yesterday morning with the written signed document that makes us officially in the book of the ones that are filed for the state of emergency. Governor had a Zoom meeting with judges and emergency managers yesterday afternoon and indicated that he had no doubt that the state would meet the threshold for FEMA assistance, which will allow us to have public assistance and individual assistance on the declaration. Feels like that in our investigation, what we would have to meet for our threshold is $4.44 per populace, which each individual $4.44 comes up to about $210,000. We believe that Salt River alone has maxed that out, so we will just go above that on our threshold for the county. I've put out some information for the media to put out. We're gathering damage assessments, pictures, addresses, estimates on the amount of damage that we have on public governmental type structures, and then individuals need to do that also individually. If they don't have insurance or don't have a way to recoup their losses, then they have the ability to file for individual assistance. So everybody needs to work on that in the coming days, weeks, and this will be months to compile that. I want to thank Sheriff. I reached out to Sheriff Pinero yesterday morning and asked if his guys were out and about, if they could collect some damage assessment for me. They sent me a whole bunch of stuff that we will be able to upload to the state. It's very important to have the addresses. We've got an email address called nelsoncountyweatherdamage@gmail.com. We ask everybody to take pictures of their damage, their address, their contact information, and send that over to that Gmail address. It'll make our life a lot easier when we're uploading all this to the state for compiling with the other counties.
But Joe, clarify, people's insurance pays first.
Yes, your FEMA is not going, if we do get the individual assessment reimbursement or grants, it's actually a grant you file for individually, they're going to want to know what your losses were over any other arrangements, insurance or otherwise, that you had to recoup your losses. They're not going to double pay, and you'll have to prove that you didn't have any way of getting reimbursed on those damages that you have. Good point, Brad.
But even if they're filing an insurance claim, you want them to send the information to this address?
We want to
anyway?
compile that when FEMA folks or state emergency management folks come back in to do their surveys, then they'll mark those off. But yeah, we want those all brought in, and we'll kind of weed through them and see what individual assessment for private ownership of stuff is totally different from public assistance that we will be filing for.
So what about their deductible? Does that, you want them to write all that down?
No, I'm not interested. If they've got a loss that they don't think is going to be covered by any other means, go ahead and submit it. They'll work through that with the agents that will be sent in to the county to set up their desk to go through all these things with individuals. Main thing I'm dealing with is the public side of it. We're offering the individual out as an extra benefit to those folks. That's really not our cup of tea, so to speak. New Hope, New Haven, Boston radio sites were damaged heavily with the wind. New Hope, I'll speak on the fire department, but they lost the roof and have structural damage of their firehouse. I did get down there early Friday evening and Saturday morning and took care of New Haven's problem. Went to Boston on Saturday, and we were able to get them up and going with a battery backup. New Hope still has a significant issue on talking to dispatch. We're not sure what that problem is. We're working with them to try to get a solution for them. Might be a good idea to start thinking about these tire sites don't have backup power. We may want to look at that in the future as getting some type of small generators at those tire sites. They affect the law enforcement and the fire department. So basically Friday night through Saturday, Boston could not get toned out for a fire. New Haven couldn't for 3 or 4 hours till I got them back online. But
Just
those
fire, what about ambulance or anything else?
No, AMLIS is not fortunate enough to have multiple sites in the county like law enforcement. We operate off one site off of Salt River Tire. Law enforcement has 6 sites because they need a little better communications when they're out in the field with their handhelds and things. So 3 of their sites, Boston, New Haven, and 2 of their sites, Boston, New Haven, were off for a significant amount of time. But they still had the main site, so I don't know that you had any problems. So, but they could have if they had something significant in the south end or Boston area. They may have had some communication issues off those tires being down.
What is the biggest loss that you know of in Nelson County?
Oh, it's so widespread. I'd say the New Hope Fire Station is going to be a major loss. I think the city lost part of the roof off of the recreation facility.
Trust lost 2 of those big buildings they had back there.
Yeah, we got several barns, and so I couldn't put a finger on what one specific thing would be right now.
I was pretty amazed that all the whiskey warehouses held intact.
Yep.
It took a lot of wind.
I want to recognize and applaud the hard work of the volunteer citizens and fire department personnel, utility companies, and our elected officials. We'll publicly thank them for all they did during this time, and we will have to continue to do going forward to make all this happen. Update on dispatch. We reported that our cell phone revenues were back to where they should be in last quarter. Sean and I will have a 2 o'clock Zoom meeting with the CMRS PSAP board today to discuss how we're going to make ourselves whole with what was taken away from us or shorted us on the last 2 quarters of last year, and see if there's going to be any resolution on that we can bring back to the court for a report. On dispatch, just a numbers report from 2 p.m. Friday till 7 p.m. Friday. They received 458 calls from the public. Out of those calls were 208 calls for service. They break down as 59 down tree calls, 48 power lines down, 2 injury wrecks, 3 non-injury wrecks, 13 burglaries, 13 fires with power lines, 7 medical calls, 1 water rescue, 6 domestic fights, 1 transformer on fire,
6 what?
domestic fights, domestic disorderlies, 1 transformer fire, 1 reported electrocution on Bluegrass Parkway, 2 property damage reports, 1 building collapse, 4 assists, and 12 others, and 37 miscellaneous. So our dispatch center was very busy. I think Judge Hutchins was involved, listening to some of that while he was at my office till 11:30.
Well, that 458 going the other night, and you only had, what they have, 3 working?
3 were on and 1 came in, so that was 4.
And they worked, I forget how many hours, they showed me how many hours they worked because we're so short-staffed up there. And some of them working 16, 18, and 20 hours straight that, with no breaks at all because we don't have the help. So it's kind of repetitive of what we've said about that. So that's something we're going to be looking into heavily here soon. Go ahead.
Which leads me to item 3. The center is currently 2 full-time staff short and down to 5 part-time staff with one part-time in training. And our dispatch board meeting, put that out there, is Thursday, March 9th, 9 a.m. at the Sheriff's Training Room. Any of you guys would like to attend that or public? All right, I'll move into EMS report, or actually fire department report. As I reported, New Hope Firehouse sustained significant damage to their roof and roof structure. Their equipment is all moved out to surrounding neighboring departments where they have room to house it. We will be trying to get some footage, aerial footage of that later this afternoon for our report and uploading to the FEMA website. The fire department responded to multiple calls during and after the storm, ranging from electrical fires, accidents, and tree removal. They all worked very well in helping out, getting the roads opened up and chainsaws and cutting down trees. So that was a little bit of a help to the road department. EMS presented you with the February call report that came in. 592 calls responded to, 163 non-transport, and we have 21 lift assists during the month. They're not getting any better. Our staffing report, we've hired 1 full-time advanced EMT. We have 0 part-time EMTs since the last meeting, and still have 3 full-time positions open. The budget as February 28 shows that we had a 14% increase in revenues, which is a good thing, and a 5% decrease in our expenses. So as we move forward talking about our recruitment and retention, I'm trying my best to find the dollars to support that. I think I have a plan. I've talked to the judge about it a little bit, and maybe we'll have something next court meeting to bring back as a proposal. That'd be my report.
Well, Joey, I want to say also thank you to everybody that did this. Luckily, I don't think there was any lives lost, to my knowledge, was it? And you can't take it for granted. You hear these weather reports, but pretty amazing to see all that wind, trees hitting the road. So I want to personally thank Joey for the good job he did and stayed up there to, I don't know, we was up there to, I don't know what time it was, pretty late, midnight or so, but, and then the fire departments and of course the EMS fire departments and the road crews and Brad's crews and the state crews and all the electric companies. I think that they brought in, I don't know how many people working on these. I've got another report here somewhere about the electric companies. And so everybody did a good job, and you see a lot of people. Had a couple of magistrates, maybe all of them out there. You know, y'all knew how to use a chainsaw. But a lot of residents, general public, out helping each other out, and then pretty amazing, really, was the damage that we had, and it's pretty widespread. I want to say that also. Brad, do you want to chime in on that, and I'll just let you go next?
All right, so I'll give you the quick road department report, which will roll into what we need to talk about with bulky items. So like I said, Friday, we worked about midnight, same with Joe now, and then Saturday, all we did Saturday, so the public knows, and that all the masters know, because I informed you guys that, we just opened the roads up. There was no cleaning up of trees, we didn't have time for that. So we spent all day Saturday, they worked 12 hours, just getting trees cut and pushed off the road. If it has an electric line, there still may be some out there. We don't touch those trees, 100%. Public do not touch them. Let the electric companies deal with it. So all we did was open it up. I'm already getting phone calls from when you gonna come back and get these trees. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. Through bulky item, we should, if everything works out, tomorrow or the next day, get done with this first phase of bulky item stuff.
A little bit early.
How many phases you got?
3. What you'll always find, the first phase will be quick because people just don't get it out quick enough for us. It just is what it is. That's why you guys always tend to try to want to maneuver it around. But the question on the table for today is when we start at the next phase, do we want to let the public bring their brush to the roadside for us to pick it up? I've already opened up the quarry. The old quarry off of Quarry Lane is open to the public. Please, only limbs, only brush, no debris. If that starts to occur, we'll have to monitor it, and I do not want to have to shut it down. That will get us in trouble real quick with the state. So only debris, but it is going to be open indefinitely.
I'll chime in on that a little bit. Brad and I met, and we talked about all this stuff. If you get Keith and Jess been here over the years, and we've had back when I was here, storms, and it's a matter of when do you do it. You're gonna have to do it eventually because public, most just don't have the means or the resources or the equipment or a truck to haul that much brush, and you can't burn.
Green.
Well, you can't burn, because you can't burn in the city limits, you know, that's a city deal, but in these subdivisions, a lot of them you can't burn, and then you've got, can't burn in somebody's houses, so I think we just want to bite the bullet, and if they've got it out there and try to get, a lot of people will take it to the quarry, you know, because they don't want to sit out there in front of their house, but I personally think we need to go in and just do it as we're going, and it'd save a lot of repetitive times. You know we're going to have to go back and pick up some.
How do we make it clear to the public that it needs to be out on the right of way and we're not gonna come 150 feet into the property?
Jim Brooks, you gotta tell Jim Brooks.
Okay.
Tell Jim Brooks.
So, no, that comes with a price tag. I wouldn't have brought it up, I would have done it, but it did come with a price tag.
Yeah.
The price tag is, we gotta get extra help in with dump truck. If not, if you guys don't wanna do that, that's fine. It just will extend bulky item. It should take 6 weeks, it'll take 12 or 13 weeks. No kidding. So,
Yeah, but we don't want it on the side of the roads.
I
We
agree,
don't want it
I
in
100%
everybody's
agree with
house.
that.
Because we
I'm
start
behind
mowing and bush hogging, you know, in another
Right.
6 weeks. And
But what that price tag is, you know, you're probably talking that I'd have to bid it out to make it legal.
Yeah.
And give us some truck drivers, I've already started reaching out.
you don't have to bid it out under the emergency order.
If you declare an emergency, we don't have to.
You
I
don't
mean, I
have to
can
bid
reach
it
out
out.
to a couple and get some quotes.
Rodney, correct me on that, if, you told me the other day, the last time you had an episode like this, it took you 4 years to get your money?
Yes.
Can you imagine that? 4 years? That's how it,
Can you imagine if it took us 4 years to pay them?
yeah.
So here's what the cost generally will be, generally. Just to get one truck, about $800 a day. I probably need 2, but one with each crew. You guys know how to run the crews, I got one with each crew. So you can start doing the math real quick, you know, you'll spend $50,000 to $75,000.
Don't take
Now,
long.
if you listen to Joe, I think we're gonna qualify, and we'll have to monitor that and document everything.
Right.
It's just you guys gotta take the leap of faith and saying, okay, we're gonna do this, knowing it could be 4 or 5 years before we get the money back. So
I don't think we got any choice.
I don't either. I think it needs to be done, but we need to stay off the private property because if you pull up and damage somebody's yard, then we've got more problems.
Right.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Make the motion to what?
To pick up debris, tree and branch debris that property owners bring to the right of way, and to have Brad arrange for those trucks and the labor to get that done.
Joey?
That's
No, wait a minute, I got a
okay.
motion on the floor. Second? Second. First by Adam, second by Jeff. Any more discussion?
Does he want to?
I don't think you can interrupt, I don't think you can interrupt me after I got a motion.
I have a question that may be what he was gonna address.
All right, go ahead with the discussion.
Brad, you said you kind of implied there that money may be covered by the FEMA money. I don't know if that's what Joe was gonna address or not, but, so is there potential to recover that $1,600 a day for hiring those dump trucks through that FEMA money if it gets approved? Is that what you were gonna say, Joe?
Can I answer that?
You can answer that, because I asked you.
Okay, so the declaration covers what Adam was talking about. Folks bringing their brush to the roadway, that doesn't take a motion, that's covered. Any expenses incurred due to the storm by the county or city goes into the lump sum amount that we are gathering for reimbursement, yes.
Yep, okay, yeah, that answers the question.
It's just gonna take 4 to 5 years to get
Which
that.
is fine.
It will
I mean,
take
that's-
a long time.
At least we get it.
It might not take that long. They've got some changes going around, they need some changes up there, so.
Seems like we won't be handing out checks a lot.
Yeah,
That way,
Well-
it'd be like a savings account that y'all can't spend.
yeah.
So when you get it, it's like a Christmas present.
Yeah.
I got a motion, any more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
So my plan is,
go ahead, Brad.
we start phase 2, which is, think of Bluegrass Parkway going south. You know, we go counterclockwise through the county. So from Bluegrass Parkway counterclockwise, I need the public to start bringing their limbs out to the right of way. That is very important to us. And what we'll have to do, the first phase that we just got done, once we get done with everybody, and I'm already getting phone calls, we'll come all the way back through the first phase again to get their limbs. The first phase doesn't get a double bulky item pickup. They get a limb pickup.
They probably will.
I say that, but I know what phone call I'll get,
So
so
can we put that out on our social media?
put it out.
Yep.
Quicker the better. What's gonna be tough is the people on Monday getting their stuff out quick enough. My back's sore from my stuff, trust me.
Jim, do you send this report to the radio when you do this? Your report, does it go to Rob?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And it
They'll
posts
get
on the WRT Facebook page as well.
That would be great. I appreciate that.
Kentucky's standard right here. Is that you?
PLG.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
John wants his turn to spend some money.
The,
17.
John, you, go ahead, John, with your report first.
Okay. So for a bulky autumn number, just for the first week, we did 716 cubic yards, 141 tons, 550 tires, for a total cost of $6,850. And it's a little more than last year, but it's been great weather. Everybody's getting a lot of stuff out, but it's pretty comparable to previous years.
I sent the magistrate say, we talked about this previously. I didn't put it on the agenda because I kind of forgot. I've been a little bit busy, but anyway, John, for safety reasons and saving us on our insurance and inspections and all that as we go forward, talk about that, John, and that fire we had before, and then what this could save us and potential loss.
Okay, so basically to run the landfill, we have to have a compactor and we have to have a backup compactor by law to run the landfill. We've had fires in the past with these pieces of equipment. The last compactor we got was around $720,000. I talked to Jim White just to see what new ones are if we bought them today. He said if we bought one today, we've got 1.2 and they're going up. And if we had to build one, it'll be about a year and a half. So just Now, not asking for that, but just kind of giving everybody an idea, if we had to replace this, what it would cost us. So
1.2.
1.2 if we bought one today, roughly.
You got the money in there, if we went down today to buy it? You know?
We'll find
What
it.
would you do, have all the money?
We have the money in there.
We have the
Just-
money in
You gotta
there.
rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
Now you wouldn't have money to do your expansion.
Or- We have some.
Yes, we could buy one tomorrow if you
Yes,
asked.
we have
Expansion
the
just would
cash.
have to.
So anyway, so what we've done in the past, I guess it was, I think January when this happened, basically got a fire in the back of the compactor and just with a push of a button, basically the fire suppression system, it detonates and sprays in the engine compartment and basically puts a fire out. We got quotes to do that, and then basically for the 826C, the backup compactor, the price to get that done is, you have two different options. You have a dry unit and a basically a combined unit. One is $13,834. That's basically the upfront cost to basically to equip this with that fire suppression system.
Can I put it under a FEMA deal?
See what we can do.
Did that have one on?
So the old compactor, it might have had one 20 years ago before we even got it, had a couple things. But the new, when we put the new compactor, we put one of these on it, we bought it new.
So we're not
So-
replacing the one on the new one, we're putting one on the old.
This is just to put one on the older one that we have to have a backup. We have to have this compactor as a backup by law. This is just
How
basic.
often do you use that one, the backup?
Basically, we try to use at least several times a week just to keep it running, keep moving, and then our other one goes down once every whatever. Some part breaks down once a couple weeks, once a month, whatever, so we use that for a day, week,
Well,
whatever.
maintenance, you got it down. a
And
couple
maintenance
days.
down for maintenance, so we use it, basically, we need to use it at least probably several times a month, but we also run it weekly, sometimes daily, just to keep it running, keep it going, make sure everything's good on it.
Now, the second part of that equation, after I spoke with the insurance people, when we had those meetings with the, who we got, the Keiko, we was talking about all the training and safety programs we can put in, and this say if you had a $700,000 replacement, you know dang all else won't happen, your insurance is gonna go back up next year, so it kind of protects us around several ways, but
And you mentioned in the past, okay, in the past you mentioned what if there's any other recurring costs, but it's basically what we do is we get this inspected every 6 months, which is around $300. To come out basically to double check the system, pressurize, to make sure you don't have any seals loose or anything else, make sure the system's still good. So.
we gotta do that
These are
every 6
manual.
months.
You have to have somebody there to push the button.
No, so
These-
there's
these
two different
sensors.
detonation systems. So basically you have like a heat wire that goes around the engine compartment. So the first thing, if the engine gets hot enough, or wherever the fire is, gets hot enough to melt the coating on that wire, basically detonate the system. Or if you see smoke immediately, there's a button right there, you pull the pin, hit the button, and it goes off. So there's two different ways to do it. So you don't have to be in the machine for it to work.
What are these two different figures? One says 13,834, the other one says 12,606. What is that?
Basically, that's just two different systems that they sell.
Okay.
They said there's not much difference between the two.
And then the second one looks like it has fewer fire suppression nozzles. Is that the way I read that? 8 dry chemical nozzles as opposed to 12. There's, the second bid is for 10,214. And it looks like it has 4 less.
So this one here, the second one was for the dozer.
Oh, okay.
That's for
two
different
different
pieces of equipment.
Okay.
So basically, I think it's very important for the compactor to get through the compactor. It's in the garbage, it's in everything, it's almost a must, but it'd be silly not to.
And you don't know what's in that garbage that might be explosive.
You don't know. I mean, it's, people come in, their batteries, whatever stuff.
Yeah.
Ignite, smokes.
You got enough money in your budget to pay for this? What do y'all, it's up to the master.
You want a motion on each, or you do them both on one?
We're not doing the dozer, we're just doing the compactor.
Just basically the compactor.
That's what I
Compactor's
suggest.
only one.
That's what I suggest
That's the only
today.
thing I'm asking for.
We can look at the dozer
If you guys
later.
want to do the dozer too, I think.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the system for the CAT 8260.
Are you gonna do the cheaper one or the higher one?
I like the higher one.
Which one you suggest, John, on that? There's
I
two.
think go with the higher, the 13. It's 13.8 compared to 12.6, so it's a little bit more, but
But it's a better system.
better system. maintenance cost is about the same. It's still gonna come out, pressure out the system, check everything, so it's still about
I'll
$300
second it.
every 6 months.
You gotta make sure you're gonna reaffirm that first, you said
Yeah, I'm on, yeah.
$13,834.
Yeah.
Motion by MT, second by Adam. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Kind of when I was making those comments in between there, you seen again, 700,000 to 1.2 million, so that's something we gotta be thinking about when it comes to these fees. Just let the public know everything's going through the roof. Brad, you want to get into the engineers, you and John? And there is a engineers facilities report. Did we send the thing out for the tank?
So you guys, what he's talking about, the Lutheran tank improvement project, if you guys, we talked about that at the previous meeting. I've got,
Let me say something first on the tank is on Lutheran Church Road back there. You know, we're gonna do that upgrade, the connection with the local water back into the city, you know, everybody knows about all that. It's a $17 million deal, and if we got enough money to do it, or if they got enough money to do it, because they ran some of it through here and some of it through North Nelson. But for that to work efficiently, this tank's gonna have to be upgraded. And then the state's gonna make on the division water upgraded, and just to make, we got purified water and rotation and the pressure. You all, some of it in the past, you know, we supported New Haven and Bloomfield to help them with their projects, and, you know, everybody's limited on resources, and it is some state money through that ARPA that came down through here, so. Coal Sister reached out to me, we discussed it and kind of looked at everything, and I think it's a fair, reasonable deal that we go in partnership and help them on this tank as we did the others. If we could, my recommendation that we'd come in and split the cost maybe 50-50 to help support it.
so your total cost is 183. So our portion of that would be 91,500.
Who's paying the other portion?
North Nelson. Same thing as we did with New Haven. You know, we said we'll pay for half of it, and we'll pay for the other half. That's what we did with New Haven.
That was on the
This would be
sewer.
a resolution, or actually memorandum of agreement that Timmy would sign saying we agree to pay for half of the tank improvements.
The reason I didn't give y'all this, and like I say, a lot of stuff here, I really should have, some of these things. The reason I didn't put it in the packet, because again, when Brad Metcalf and we all went through this stuff yesterday on this other packet, I was holding off because I knew we was getting this stuff from Brett Guthrie, and I thought maybe, but we won't meet the timeline on it. There's no way we'll meet the timeline if we do get that, and so we think we put some other projects into there that we can save the county some money on some other projects, and then try to split this with North Nelson so they can get on there, because they bid it out. I mean, they're in a position that's going to be tight on bids and time frames, you know. Go ahead, Brad.
And this would be funded, Keith, through that same pot of money, the ARPA funds that we have. So that's where the 91,500 would come out of, is what we're asking you guys to consider.
And that has some flavor in there, did we got,
Yeah.
what we have about
200.
200,000 in that.
Left?
We have 200,000 in reserve.
In reserve.
Out of what we have preliminarily.
We'll probably have a little more.
Budgeted for stuff.
You had committed some of it that we could still move, but that you got 200 that left, I guess you say play with.
Right now, not applied.
Are you asking us to decide right now?
I kind of am. The reason why is because the city's trying to get their line in up there from Hoagland over to, they're gonna try to get their line in first before, we can't get that big line in until the state gives us dedicated where the right of way is gonna be. It's holding us up, holding us up, and for these other projects going down through there, so it's all like it's gonna have to be tied in together in a year or so, but the whole projects are. And you know how it is with help and equipment and parts, hell, if he gets a bid today, they might not get the parts for a year.
So
So,
I'll make a motion that we allocate 50% of the cost of it up to $100,000.
motion on the floor.
Second.
By Lear, second by Snow. Any more discussion?
Up to 100, is that what you said?
Yeah, I think we project 90.
91? How come they didn't see this problem when we first did this?
So here's, it's very complex, but I'll give you the highlight version. Because 245 is going to get widened eventually. So the state will not give us our permit to bring this water line in from Four Roses into town till they got their design done. We need to get water to Heaven Hill quicker than that. So there's already an existing 12-inch line that comes from Louisville Water into North Nelson's system.
District, yeah.
That line goes through the Lutheran Church tank.
Comes both ways, don't it? It comes on 31 East Sun.
Yeah,
and
but
then it comes up 245.
But the
Sun.
part where it comes on 245,
Yeah.
that's where the water's gonna come from.
Okay.
That water has to go through the Lutheran Church tank. And then out of the tank, it comes to
To help
town.
it with the pressure, I see.
So what's gonna have to happen for this time frame to make sure we meet the deadline for Heaven Hill, we gotta shove this water through that tank and then back out.
That makes
So the
sense.
tank needs to be upgraded so that when Heaven Hill needs it, we're not taking the tank down for 2 months
It'll have the force.
to fix it. It'll have it there for them.
Okay.
And then as we get approval through the state to eventually go down 245, the 20-inch line will then be connected later down the road, and it's not as important. But what we did want to do is next year have to take this tank down, and it needs to be relined. It's an old tank. And so we're trying to get ahead of it.
Did it all just occur just in end of last week or something?
No, so what happened?
I'm just
No, so.
finding out, so I'm not ready to spend money until I.
No, I get it.
understand
What has thrown us for the loop is the state Kentucky Highway Department of Transportation will not issue us our permit for this 20-inch line. So it's put us into, what are we going to do to make sure we get this water to Heaven Hill? Actually giving it to Bardstown, then Bardstown gets it to Heaven Hill. And that was the solution we came up with.
It's pressure all the way out.
Yeah, because they're gonna have a negative impact on pressure. So if we
Um,
don't get it fixed, everybody around it.
Pressure and volume, it's both.
Yeah.
And
But-
second thing, Brad, the Division of Water's already been, I guess, they're not in compliance, or they're gonna be out of compliance on the new regs on that tank. And the third piece of that is the hospital, they were already at kind of low pressure, they keep talking about that, so it kind of helps the whole area and community with it.
What's thrown us for our loop, MT, is we see the writing on the wall. We're not going to get this permit from the state to get it from Four Roses to, it's Hoagland Funeral Homes where it's coming to, until they get through with their design. Well, we can't wait that long. So the alternate plan was, okay, well, we'll just use this existing 12-inch, shove it through the
We
tank.
only have 2 weeks to.
Oh, y'all can do it for 2 weeks. 2 weeks is not going to kill them, but I can't wait 6 months.
No, I was talking about for
Yeah,
both.
so January 24th, 2024, January of 2024 is when Bardstown has to have this water ready and available to Heaven Hill. That's part of the contract. So I'm not saying 2 weeks is going to kill it, no, not at all. I mean, if y'all want to table it till then, that's up to you guys. And
But the longer they put off the bids on that, the harder it's gonna be to get the parts and whatnot they need to.
What you'll see is Bardstown, I think, has already got theirs out to bid, their section. Cole's going to have to bid, what we're calling it the Little Project from the parking ride. Do y'all know where the parking ride is off of Templin? We got to get it to there, to under, almost to Wilson Industrial Park, and this tank. So you guys will see in the paper and probably all this work this summer. So if you guys want to wait 2 weeks, you can. If you want to go on and take the leap of faith today, you can.
When we talked to Cole yesterday, once they do this sealing, this will extend the life of the tank for another 20 to 30 years, he thinks. So this is not it will help for quite a while.
Is it a spray-on cylinder?
So it's a glass tank on the inside, and then, but of course, with metal tanks, Keith, you got all those rivets. And so part of this process is you gotta go on the inside, black mammy, that's what they use. And they go over every rivet to make sure it's not rusting out. So you gotta get inside the tank, and yeah, I know.
Actually, hand it.
E?
Wow.
So,
He said it'll take about a month to get that done. And the concern is once we're pushing that pressure into Bardstown, we can't afford for that tank to be down for a month because it's an integral part of that whole system. It would shut it all down.
Like I said, the hospital's on that too. I'd take on and do it today.
Yeah, I apologize, if you're not sending this out to you because to be honest with you, I just think, you know, and then it kind of popped up and they called me again, so. I think you'll end up, I mean, I know you don't have all the information in front of you, but it's a good project, so.
Yeah, I'm not doubting the project,
I know you want to
I'm
see
very
it.
thorough when it comes to saying yes and leap of faith. I don't jump without.
We'll take a leap of faith for Tim Hutchins today. We got a motion from, who was it?
Motion and a second.
Larry.
Jeff.
Jeff and John.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Reluctant. You got that? Don't say aye on me, I mean him. I don't want to vote on anything.
Are you, yes, okay.
And Timmy, I'll adjust that verbiage, say 100,000 and get you that agreement. It's the same thing we use for New Haven.
You do the 91, not the 100.
Well, that's not what the motion was.
Up to 100, he said.
That's what it'll be. That's what I'll write down.
Brad, will you give me a copy of?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Brad, we got any update on this internet at all? They applied.
So, City of Bardstown, when he says that, you know, we've been working with City of Bardstown, Spectrum, and Windstream still up in the air, Keith, and the south end. City of Bardstown has provided me a list of what we call pockets, you know, little 4 or 5s here and there and here. They're tough little projects, and an estimated cost on that. They think after some of the stuff we've already funded with them, and they're just trying to build it out. After that, these little pockets, there's 93 customers, that's it, in their service area that they can't get to. Those 93, they think will cost about $430,000. That's what they gave me last week.
You put that in his deal?
That's what I'm gonna do.
Put that in, we're
When
gonna
he
put it
said-
in his package.
Yep, I have reached out, and you were copied on the email,
100% sure it's only 93. That's
in
all
Bardstown service area. So don't confuse that, Bardstown service area. You know, like I got the whole list, Russell Road, there's 10 people back yet they don't serve. You know, you get into Summers Lane, 1 person. You know, Sweeney Ridge, Old Willisburg Road, High Grove Road, Taylorsville, and you start adding all those up. But yes, I got this list from Bardstown, which is pretty impressive that they've got that amount covered.
Good job. What's his name? What is his name? What's the deal there?
Jeff Mills. Jeff Mills, David Evans, Nahome.
$400,000 for 100.
Yeah. That's why when you look at these projects, and Jeff knows very, I can see his grin.
No, I mean, that's what I've been saying forever, you know, and there's no guarantee that those 93 people want it.
So what you'll find, what the city tells me is in rural areas, what they call their take rate, how many people will truly take it, will be a little under 50%.
I don't doubt it.
Now, that will be a function also of well, how far off the road do they live? And they have to work with the city on that. And I get it, it gets expensive to get it back to your
Yeah, they haven't
house.
given me a cost on what it's gonna cost to run it up my hill.
Right. And you're one of the areas that we've already kind of
Yeah,
covered.
it's
for
there,
what-
it's
Yeah.
just, they gotta come out and look at it and tell me how
Right.
much it's gonna cost to get it
So,
from
what-
the road to the house.
That's why your public or privately owned entities, they don't go after these areas unless you get grant money to help. I mean, that's just reality. That they can't make a living off
We're
that.
trying to move forward, trying to, if we can get some grant money to help do these projects. And then what about outside of that?
So I've asked Spectrum, you were copied on the email, you know, here recently, about a month ago or so, we supported a grant for them, and I've given them what I think they're, what we call the pocket areas, and I have not heard back from the gentleman we met with that one day, Timmy Ben-Ucelis, with Spectrum, to confirm the same list. I want the same list, Keith, he's more in your area, that would say, are these our pockets, please confirm yes or no, and what's the cost with it? I have not heard back from him, I'll have to push it now that.
But they're so busy right now with all their lines down and when it's pulled loose. I'm sure they're just worried about getting their customers back online instead of worrying about this right now, you know?
Brett, are there still areas in dispute who covers the area? Have they resolved that yet?
No, that's still being disputed. Some of it is, do they want to serve it, Jeff?
Like it ain't mine.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to claim it. And so they're trying to push off on each other. What road is it you live on? Nelsonville Lane Road is one of them. They both are coming from both directions, Jeff, and neither one of them want to finish it out.
Oh, that's that line they ran through there when they went to school.
It's tough. Not only is it tough, you think, when you go back to these areas, there's what they call pole rental. You ones that were on the court before, you remember that issue that came up, well, who's gonna pay for the extra pole rental when you serve it 5 people, but it takes 20 poles to get there? And so their internet costs, what you'll find is, when their internet cost is $20 more a month, what's because of that pole rental? And then they may not even take it because of that cost. It may be cheaper to go satellite, which a lot of you guys have talked about. But it's a tough little thing to figure out, isn't it, Jeff?
Let's move on to the water. We've worked with, finally got some information back from, I guess, Bloomfield, and then LaRue County Water, which serves a lot of the south. They gave us some names and roads, and you got a sheet on it?
So I have LaRue County's list. And we asked them, which areas do you not have water to? Or give us some projects so that maybe we can apply for one of these grants. Water in that general area keeps most of everybody, except for Perkins. I think they need a line down Perkins. There was some fire hydrants throughout that entire area, and Salt Springs Loop. That's the only 2 roads they told me they did not have water on.
Salt Springs Loop's got water.
They told me it does. They need $25,000. Now, they may be running individual lines out there, and it's not a main line down it.
No, they just built that new house back there. It's got water.
They may run.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Like, when I met with Bloomfield, that was the situation. There's some of them, they've got water, but they don't have a line down through there. They run what they call a service line, down to that, if they're running into 1 or 2 houses on that lane, and it really cuts it down on how much water they can get. So they need an actual water line down like Maud Cooksey to them. They just sold a farm back there, and they're gonna want water back to that farm. And he said, all we really have is like a 2-inch line going, or a 1-inch line going back to where it stops, where they ran it originally, and then everybody else is on kind of their own private service line from that line, and they really need to run that water line on back through there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'd say that's probably the case. They probably have water back there, but it may not be the actual water line that they want.
Well, if they got a water meter by the driveway, it means they got a water.
Whatever the meter is usually.
Before you do that on Salt Springs, let me look.
Yeah, and I'm going off what Tim Bartlett says, just like the internet, we're not in the internet or water business, so I'm having to work with these companies.
Yeah, it's time consuming, but again, we're gonna be pushing it hard these next 10 days and pack it right there. Even if it's on private roads, we might be able to qualify to help these people. So my goal is to help get everybody with water in the county. I don't care where they live at, and that's what we're gonna try to attempt. So just let everybody know we're working towards it. It's time consuming, and if we can get some state grant, federal money, that'll help us. Anything else on that, Brad?
No, nothing for today.
Did you get what you needed from Bloomfield?
No, and I've talked with him again this morning, and he says they're working on it. I gave him a deadline. I said I got somebody asking.
Yeah, I know they were waiting on some information from their engineer. So.
Yeah, that's what he told me this morning.
I just want to let y'all know there's a report here from KU about the thousands of customers that were out throughout the area, and it's kind of amazing how many people they got back on pretty quick, but if anybody wants to see that. Brad, on your end on the roads again, I don't think it takes a court order. You got a rear lane, Little Falls Lane. You familiar with that?
What now?
Little Falls Lane.
Little Falls Lane, I don't know. Oh, you're doing a private road.
Private road naming.
It does not take fiscal court, but if you want to inform them. What it is, it happens all the time. These new little private roads that come through, officially the judge has to sign an order naming a private road. That name is generated from the people who live on there, just you guys, we went through it last time.
Yeah.
And anytime a new one comes through, the judge has to sign off on it. I hadn't seen that yet.
If y'all ever heard that name, you'll know now. Little Falls Lane.
Did I just hear you say, Judge, you want to do it on the private roads too?
What's that?
Water.
Yeah, that's what my attempt is to be, because if we can get some money on him, a lot of that they don't say on there if it's private or public. It just says water. So we may be able to get some money for that. like, which one down in Timber, which one is it they?
Hurricane Hills.
Hurricane Hill, they ran it through the last deal y'all did, run it to the gate, and there's about, what, 20 back there, 30, that don't have any water at all. They all got cisterns and, you know, my belief is if we get some state and federal money in, if we got to do some matching with ARPA's, I don't know, I don't know how everybody feel about it as this comes through, is just because they live on a private road and they've got a cistern, I still like to help them get the water.
A lot of private road.
Possible. Yeah, I know.
A lot of private road.
Yeah.
So what
But
we,
we're gonna, that's just something we gotta try to work towards.
what we've approved so far has always been along county roads. So you gotta know that's what the former court decided to do.
And some private roads have the big lines that they put in together as a unified group, they've put them in,
Yeah, when I built my house 36 years ago,
Yeah.
we had to pay for it, and then a year later, we had to turn it over to the city of Bardstown. But we had to personally pay for it to run a mile back that Bronford Road.
I'm trying to think how many subdivisions I built, and sewers and water and everything, I had to personally pay for it, I had to give them all to the county and city.
Turned over
Put that
after a
off.
year, yeah.
Huh?
I like to be in the water business.
Millions, huh?
Ain't paid the tap on it.
And the tap on fees, yeah. Okay, Jeff Lear on, update on the technology and phone systems.
Spent some time going over the bill. I see why Ron allows me to do that. Your eyes kind of glaze over. It's pretty complicated. A lot of different long distance plans, a lot of different types of phone systems. Most of them, I believe, are in pretty good shape price wise. We do have some that are a little out of whack. And Joe, I want to get with you and Sean about some of the dispatch numbers. They have some features that are special to that department, but very expensive lines. And I think we'll find a way to get some that are not in use and maybe get some different type of service that will be a little cheaper. So there'll be some opportunity to save some money. That's it.
That's on the phone systems.
How many different phone systems do we have? We got cell phone and Very landline. complicated, man. It's a lot of But moving it's all parts. right. You don't have to, yeah. Mostly we have one particular type of central office located PBX system. All of our 1,800 numbers go through. They're pretty efficient, have a lot of features and stuff. Some are not. It's not easy to, I'd have to draw you a map, man.
Yeah.
It'll be tacks and yarn and look like a crime scene out there.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to Jeanette on number 22. Do you have anything you want to talk about? You and your sidekick here?
I do. I'd like to turn over the county clerk's settlement to fiscal court today. It's a total of $776,134.93.
Well, bless your heart.
It has to go
Most time we have to give it back.
Let's wait on that budget, man.
I told you I was waiting on you.
Okay.
Y'all agreed to take this?
Yeah.
I'll sign this, okay.
You need a motion?
MT's gonna make that one.
And I'd like to thank my bookkeeper. She
Without him looking at it, he's gonna do that one.
You can take a leap of faith on that one.
Again, I'd like to thank my bookkeeper, Angela. She works really hard. There's a lot of areas that the
Who's
county
your
clerk.
bookkeeper?
Angela Pierce.
Is her here?
Yes,
Roger.
Angela's-
Everybody will give her congratulations.
There's a lot of areas at the county clerk's office that people don't realize, and Angela does a very good job at taking care of those.
And thank you also, Jeanette. That's
Appreciate it, thank you.
very.
And going back to old business, the $60,000 was approved by the state board of elections, so we should be getting a check.
That's the,
For the,
on the election
machines.
machines, yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Speaking of the machines, we found a good, I won't say where, a good location for storage of good machines, really good location, at no cost,
Environmental control.
environmentally controlled.
Are we gonna be able to move the videos, right? Then we have video alarms or something
I'll
like
get
that
with
place over there?
internet, and they'll use your state, and we'll get it.
Be able to move those.
So thank you guys for working on that, we appreciate it.
We got lucky and found a good spot.
So I guess
For now.
to get the old machines out of St. Monica, we'll just wait after Wolfie on them.
Yeah, let's get the new ones first, I don't throw the old ones away yet. Shouldn't laugh.
Unless you wanna be hand counting.
Yes, we will help you out with that, I'll figure that out.
Thank you, sir.
I'm trying to get, just so everybody knows, with this check, I'm trying to get the EMS and jail and sheriff to do the same thing? You ever come up with some?
I'm done.
Sheriff's report, Mr. Raymond back there.
Judge, two incidents. We had a threat to Barstown High School on Wednesday.
Had a what?
A threat.
Threat, okay.
That locked down the school. I want to commend all first responders from fire, EMS, dispatch did a great job. A lot of people were frustrated with the schools, but they didn't know a whole lot. Neither did we. All we knew, we had a threat and the school went on lockdown. We've learned a lot through the process and a lot of things that we could have done a little bit better. But for overall, I want to commend all first responders for a job well done. Fire blocking off roads, EMS staging, the schools locking the school down, that when actually the guys went in, they were able to do their job by clearing the school. And what I mean by that is, it's like the school was not even in session. The doors were locked, lights were out, and the kids were silent. So I want to commend Barstown High School, or Barstown staff, because pretty much middle school, being in a community campus, helped out, and they did the same thing. So that being said, overall, pretty good job. There's things that have come up to our attention that we can fix, and we'll move forward doing that. But overall, on that incident, nobody was hurt. Threat was eliminated pretty quickly, and great job by everybody. The second was Friday night, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, we started getting bombarded with calls. We went all over the county, we separated, and we stayed out pretty late. It was 1:49 when they finally cleared out, 1:50, and we were able to let big trucks come through. But overall, again, the community, the citizens of Nelson County kicked butt. They were out there with chainsaws, moving trees out of the road, tractors, you name it. It was overwhelming seeing the community step out and go out there and help. The biggest thing that I'll take from this is a tornado, when it comes through a community, it hits about a 2 to 3 mile radius, if not a little bit more. This one came through the whole county. It hit everything. And not just Nelson County, but the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth got hit pretty hard on Friday's weather. And pretty much overall, again, fire departments, you saw them going in and out, EMS, Barstown Police, you name it. It was just pretty neat to see everybody do their jobs and do it well. So that's it for me.
Well, thank you, and your all's group too, Raymond, because I see 2 or 3 of your officers literally get out of the truck and help move debris out of the road.
Yes, sir.
I say the same thing, it was pretty amazing to see all of it. Kelly, you want to discuss anything?
The amended administrative code regarding the public comment will be published this week, so it can have a second reading at our next meeting. Chip's doing pretty well. He appreciates everybody asking about him. Other than that, nothing really to report.
So we need that second reading at the next one, and then we can start doing public comments.
Then that public comment can proceed under the new what we've got there, as far as people being able to sign up and make a comment.
First meeting in April.
Yes.
Whatever that, yeah, time-wise. The reason why, because we had public, you have to run it in the paper and all that, and time frames couldn't get to the end or whatever. So it delayed us one meeting, I guess you'd say, so. Just let everybody know the public comment is coming. It'll be the second meeting from today, is that correct, I think? Kelly, did you get a copy of I sent y'all a copy of the library proposal. Did you get that? Oh, everybody got that? Oh, this right here. And what it is, I would just as soon go ahead and adopt this today. We don't have to go and discuss it, that's fine too. I'm gonna just read this, basically. This came from, I had asked Chip and Kelly to write up this deal. And what happened in the General Assembly last session is they came up with a resolution that the fiscal courts can adopt. And if we do adopt this, then it gives the county judge the pleasure of appointing members to the library board with the fiscal court's approval. And as it is today, the state library trustees send down, I think, two, as they come up, they tell you who to put on, and basically you don't have no authority if you didn't agree with their policies or whatever. So this basically gives local control over the library board. You know, I'm not going to criticize anybody, but there's been a lot of discussion about that in the last few years about tax rates and so on. And the state recognized that, so they, you know, it's not just Nelson County. They recognized that when they passed this, because apparently there's some issues across the state. So,
I'll make the motion to give you authority to appoint the library.
well, wait a minute, before you do that, I need can you withdraw that?
Yes, I'll withdraw.
But what I need is can you tell me how we should need to state the motion, basically? We need a motion to accept. Is there provisions in KRS that language needs to be in the motion?
Well, it's in the actual resolution, so you just make a motion to accept the resolution as drafted.
Okay, that's good, go ahead.
All right, also make the motion as the resolution is drafted.
Second.
Motion by Metcalf, second by Adam. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you for that. Magistrates' reports. We're around the table, John.
Well, we kind of already covered it with working with Bloomfield Water Department on figuring out who we've got that needs water and how best to get that to them. They've got a couple of projects. One in particular involves, and I don't know all the intricacies of it, but involves looping around one water line to another one so that they can get enough pressure down a couple of roads to get water to those people that don't have them. And like I said, he mentioned that there were some of them that were being serviced by inadequate lines. They'd like to look at that down the road about taking care of that. But right now, they've got a couple of main projects that they want to do that's going to allow them to have enough water pressure to get water to those people that don't have it.
Well, what I'm asking you is to get with Metcalf and then Brad Spalding. I have to call him Spalding and Metcalf, and then I get confused with this Metcalf, so I've got to be careful. That's got the E on it, and that don't have the E, right?
Yeah, they're the ones that got all the money because we had to pay for these.
He said it's the other way around, he couldn't afford me.
But what I'm asking you, if you can, to get with them and work really hard in the next 7 days, because we need to get as much information as we can to get in this packet, in Fairfield too, on those sidewalks. And if you can do that, Jeff, what do you got?
Just want to thank all the elected officials and department heads and everyone who's taking time out of their schedule to go to Frankfurt or talk to your legislators about House Bill 5. Last Tuesday, I went down there. Thought I was going to be the only guy from Nelson County. I turned around, here comes John, Tim, Justin. So we had at the committee meeting. There's one going on right now. We shall see what's going on. Things change pretty rapidly when you think you got to figure it out. It moves. A whole lot of moving parts. I know Tim spent a lot of time doing it, and just appreciate everybody staying vigilant on it.
MT? You good? Can you, and Jeff too, actually all the masters. There was, MT joined a committee in the Boston area. They want to try to get a park together or at least some playground equipment and so on. So
I was invited to.
I'm gonna push you real hard for the next 5 days. There's some language in there about that too. There's a very good possibility. That's a kind that probably look pretty promising on even, because it's not not millions of dollars, it's thousands of dollars.
And we've had one meeting, so that really, as far as it's preliminary, just finding an area in Boston, the community is wanting to buy playground equipment and give back a little bit or provide an area for children of all ages and people to be able to enjoy their area and their community, just to show a little pride. So they're still in the search, for places, and the first part of the group was, looking for anything at all, and there's several options, and then they had some numbers, for playground equipment, and most of them were pretty surprised of how much that actually cost. So it opens the eyes of who they need to go after and ask and try to get the pocketbooks opened up. So that's what they're.
Well, see if you can get something on it, because he can put it in this package, even if you don't have the final details, at least something preliminary that we can throw in here.
I can definitely give you a number.
Adam?
Well, I'd just like to thank first responders and the electric company, KU, Salt River. We're still going to have people without electricity through Thursday or Friday, from what I hear. I still have no electricity. My wife just texted me a few minutes ago. So remind people in the community to check on some of our elderly neighbors that don't have the capability of taking care of some of their own stuff around the house, around the yard. Just keep an eye on those around us.
All right, thank you. I don't know if you got anything out in your area. I'm just trying to think out loud that'll fit that too. So if you can think of something, get with Brad on that. Brad and Brad. I'm gonna call him Mo and Joe. Keith?
I would just like to also thank one little young man in my district. He ran through several tanks of chainsaw gas. His name is Zach Brown. He did a tremendous job helping the county and the state and everybody. And
Is that the singer, Zach Brown?
No, he's not a singer that I know of, but he could run a pretty good chainsaw. And thank all the first responders and Raymond and everybody that helped out in Nelson County. Just have patience, like Adam said. There's several that I got still without power, and I know it's aggravating. I've been without power before. Thank God it wasn't this time, but just have patience. Everybody that's working on it's got families and friends and everything too, and they're doing the best they can. So, and thank you, Judge, for all you all did.
Keith, on your end down there, I know Jan worked with Linda, and I did with Linda. And anything you can see down there, we can get in this package also. I know New Hope was wanting at one time, and they may, with this roof blew off, you may want to get with them to see for something they can qualify. But the fire hydrants down there was some discussion a couple of months ago, and some pressure for the fire. If you want to get with some of them down in the next few days, and again, whatever we put in this package, I know I'm probably adding a lot of stuff.
I do have another spot. Brad just helped me get one fire hydrant in about 2 months ago, maybe, something like that.
Well, Jan and I were talking about this earlier, but we're gonna talk to DLG, but we're also gonna talk to the fire commission to see if they have any emergency revolving funds for stuff to rebuild, to get fire stations back in service more immediately than some of this grant money. We may be able to back it up with some of that, but we're gonna try to get something in faster for them so we can get them back online.
So, again, everybody just, as much as you can feed to them, Brad Spalding keeps telling me I'm trying to put too many projects, but I don't care if they're at the top. I mean, you can't get anything unless you ask for it. We gotta ask for it, so. All right, then I'm gonna go on to my report. Anybody got a copy of that letter I sent y'all last week?
Which letter?
A lot more specific.
And I try to keep you informed, that way I don't hear no backlash. The one I sent and had talked about the community service workers and all that. You don't have it there? So.
No.
Just to update the court, basically. I'm gonna go down my list first. The old courthouse here, we should have a report back about a recommendation of what we detailed about, a little bit of detail about what we should do and all that. That's coming next week. So the following meeting, I'll have you a report together about what it's gonna cost us to get a set of plans to get this thing all updated. The next thing is the governmental office complex. I haven't had time to even think about that. And then same on C. I actually did ask Brad Metcalf to get with the fire department and start pushing that forward a little bit. We've got some preliminary drawings and don't really have a lot of details on it yet. D, same way. I'm going to throw that on Metcalf too, give him something to do. I'm gonna skip E. There's some details coming up on that. Let me see. Let me go to F, and that's pretty detailed. I'll be here all day if I tell you how many meetings we've had, and emails and so on. I know, we hadn't had a meeting, we didn't have a meeting after a public hearing, did we? Yeah. So I had a public hearing, a press conference a week ago Monday in this courtroom, and we rushed it. It's about House Bill 5, and if y'all watch the news, we had the media here, and we had a heck of a crowd, and all the testimony about House Bill 5, the distillery's trying to take our money away from the fire departments, and about 30 counties roughly. Wisconsin County's hit number 1. We had a tremendous amount of feedback from all over the state supporting us on that. Then we went to Frankfurt, and we was talking about up there in the committees, and with they dug their heels in on the other side, I guess you'd say. So now, Sunday night, I caught another special meeting in the last minute. I had, I had Marion County, Bullitt, Nelson here, judges and mayors, and some Loretta people, school boards. We came up with a plan that we thought we could give back to them to kind of come to the middle. So there's a group that went to Frankfurt yesterday with the legislative leaders. I didn't get invited, and me and Jerry Summers didn't get invited from Bullitt County, but Mayor Heaton and David, the judge from Marion County.
David Daugherty.
So anyway, they went, and to no avail. They dug their heels in again. So they basically said they want to get rid of it, and just I wasn't there, but based the reports I've got back. I don't want to be too critical, but I guess I am. I'm kind of, I think it's greed, and I don't care if it's reported or not. I just think it's a shame that they're trying to take it all that away. We come to the middle and try to help and appease every solution that they were complaining about. So, the CACO, Tuckalika Cities, and Manager Association, the Judge Association, I'm going up there tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're going to meet again, probably 20, 30 of us, try to come up with another solution that would appease both sides. And I don't know what's going to come out, so I'm just letting everybody know that. We've put in countless hours and hours and hours and hours. We've had a lady from LRC that was in Frankfurt for years that's got more knowledge than everybody put together. She's Pam Thomas, and she's helped us. And without getting too critical too far, but I just tell you, it don't look real good. We could lose millions and millions of dollars. School system, fire department, sheriff, and all. I just want to talk about that a little bit. Anybody's got any questions, they can talk to me afterwards, the media, whatever. Everybody's got my cell phone number, so.
Just real quick on that.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Brad, what's the drop dead date on when this thing's gonna start moving pretty quickly? I think there's a lot of jockeying going on right now, but they've got to get it in there under timeline. What's the date that would be the last time they could file that bill and pass it out of committee?
They can put it in as a committee substitute into anything at the very last minute, so until they sign a die on the very last day, this is gonna be active. They pull the pin because the grenade is live, because they have several bills that already have 2 readings, so they could be on the floor, and you could add floor amendments, suspend the rules, and do it right away.
That would leave time for vetoes and overrides and things like that.
Well, you have your 10-day override, but they'll still, unless they think the governor is going to veto it, they'll pass it before then to preserve their veto.
Yeah, they don't really follow the rules. They change the rules and they add the rules as they go. So, it's in one committee we know of. It's not on the agenda today, but there's all kinds of, but anyway, that's why I don't like going up Frankfurt too much. Just letting you know, anybody, we need.
Just real quick, I got a report last night that what they were trying to do, they saw what we did here on Monday night, and basically the unity and unification of all different agencies across the county and Commonwealth coming on House Bill 5 against it, and now they're trying to make firefighters a whole, meaning that they will get their money, EMS will get their money The schools will begin their money through the SEEK program, almost 100%. But everybody else is getting kicked off. The fact of matter is that it affects the sheriffs across the Commonwealth, and the fact that we collect those taxes and we get a commission, a fee for those collections, and that's how it's going to hurt. But yet now they're pushing for the tourism and other entities that benefit the bourbon industry, and they're going to push them against us. But again, the sheriff's office, the city police are the ones that come and provide security and law enforcement for the Bourbon Festival, for the festivals that come to our community and carry on. Yet today, in this meeting, I heard about the water being expanded for one name of a bourbon industry, Heaven Hill. So it's a continuation of gimme, 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 but they don't want to give back. They don't want to come up with a solution. Let's sit to the table and be grown about it and have discussions about it. So that's kind of what they need to do instead of going backdoor deals. If you guys look at the seal up there, it's two gentlemen shaking hands. That means back when they came to Kentucky to do the bourbon industry, there was a handshake deal that should mean something. And it continues, and they're going to do backdoor deals. And like the judge said, they continue to change things to benefit them. Yet our communities are the ones that are being affected by it.
Well, thank you, Raymond. They have, that's their goal. I got a lot of information. I'll be here all day telling you. When they kept sending me stuff last night, they're trying to splinter off the different agencies and make them whole, and that way the unification will be known. But the SEEK funding for the schools, even they try to tell everybody that they're going to be made whole through the state. In reality, the school districts here would lose $2.8 million after the SEEK funding was kicked in. So that's one thing we're trying to sell, letting all the other counties know that their money's going to go down in SEEK probably.
Yeah, so if Nelson County's SEEK formula, the fund goes up, another county's going to go down. And every time they talk about making whole, that money is still coming from each individual taxpayer in the state of Kentucky. So the people are going to be making up the deficit for losing the barrel tax.
Even if you do not have a bourbon industry in that county.
Correct.
The taxpayers are going to be the ones hurting, paying the deficit on these taxes being collected on the bourbon industry.
Every taxpayer in the state of Kentucky will be making the bourbon industry, the people losing that money whole.
So we've tried, like I say, we've tried to come to the middle. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's getting down to the end, but it's been a battle, I'm gonna tell you that. With that being said, the distilleries, you know, KDA, Kentucky Distillery Association, pushing this thing, but well, I'm gonna stop right there. We'll be here all day. Anybody else got any? Let's see, old or new business we need to talk about?
There's a couple of gentlemen here from Soil Conservation. Were they supposed to be on the, did y'all have something?
Supposed to be on the agenda. Yeah.
Supposed to be on the agenda for something, Soil Conservation Office, making a report.
I never got anything.
Got a letter from your office. So we got a letter from you, said we're supposed to, you agreed to let us on the agenda today.
Well, if I did, I guess you're on there then, if I already said it. But all right. Go ahead. You got a letter from my office?
Yes, to accept our.
Yeah, I tried, I did that, so I got you on the agenda, go ahead.
Well, you've got all you need. We need you to ask you to accept our annual budget and plan of work. We have to do that every year with you all. You have our.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve their budget and annual works.
Is that just a pass-through too every time?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's just a pass-through. If we don't want your budget and kick it back.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
we're gonna kick it back.
Like a lot of the budgets that we see.
Right, just like extension office.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
I'll second, but I don't think we need to. I think we just accept it. Can't hurt.
Can't hurt. Any more discussion?
I'd like to see it, but
I don't even know that I've had it.
Yeah.
Well, they generate their own funds, but they have to
a copy
report
of our budget if
to
you would
court.
like to look at it.
What's your deadline on yours?
Well, we just have to do it, on April 1st.
Do it at the next meeting, but accept it now, that they just presented. I don't think we have to.
I don't think we ever voted on it before, did we, Jeff?
It's just a pass through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think we, like Jeff, I don't believe we ever voted. You just accepted it.
Just take it, if we need to approve, we do it next meeting.
You pull that motion back.
I made the motion. I'll withdraw the motion.
All right, we're gonna withdraw the motion and we'll, and I apologize, for this whiskey thing's been running me crazy, and I don't know if I got hell, I don't even remember seeing it, to be honest about it.
So Judge, we're just doing matter of record, correct?
We're gonna accept it as a matter of record. And I'll get a copy to them and then make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Just so we can kind of look at it, just be sure it's not way out of whack, right?
Yeah, I blame it on Rhonda, she don't did the agenda. All right, I'm sorry about that, yeah. But this is the one that you talking about extension, Robbie, you talking about Robbie and.
No, this is soil conservation,
Soil
but it's
conservation,
the
I
same
got
type
you.
deal. They
Oh,
generate
yeah,
their
no
own.
wonder I understand, yeah. All right, anything you want to discuss about it since it's on the agenda? Need to talk? You don't have any checks you can bring to us or anything? Anybody else got anything old or new business? Motion to adjourn? Go to, motion to go to executive session, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So maybe.
John? Motion by John? Second by Adam? All in favor?
You gotta go to closed session.
I'm sorry?
You gotta go to closed session.
We're going to closed session.
Yeah.
Where I was, I forgot. My mind's not focused.
I thought we were gonna make it down.
You tried to get out, Clear the room, and we're gonna get this thing done and be back pretty quick, please.
Executive session, back into regular session.
Motion by Lear, second by Don. All in favor? So we're back in the regular session, and I need a motion to accept a land sale. We're working on an agreement with Bardstown Bourbon at the industrial park, and they want to build some lakes, and part of their land comes up over on our property. And so there's an agreement here to buy, I think it was about 38 acres. Where'd Brad go? I didn't go through those details. And this is some land that's going to help them and help us together. And so I got a contract to get it started, so I need a motion.
I would make the motion and allow Judge Executive Hutchins to act on our behalf to move forward with this sale.
And sign this contract.
I'll second.
Motion by Adam, second by Jeff. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Jeff, second by Adam. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned. 3,000.